Welcome back, everybody, to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Or should I say, if this is your first time listening to this podcast, welcome. My name is Brent Daniels. I am the host of this podcast episode, and I am so thrilled that you have found us. If you're one of our loyal listeners, thank you so much for coming back time and time again to listen to these podcast interviews, to this podcast in itself. This podcast is number one in the world when it comes to wholesaling real estate for one reason and one reason only. We don't focus on education. We don't focus on entertainment. We focus on instruction. Instruction is the key to this whole business, to the whole real estate business, is to take massive action based on the instruction that you get. So I am so pleased to be able to spend a little bit of time with you, and even better, beyond me, but beyond this intro, I have an unbelievable interview here, an unbelievable story that is you're gonna understand what it takes to really, as we call, rhino through it, to just charge through. It doesn't matter the circumstances, it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter where you started at, it doesn't matter your past, it matters the actions that you take moving forward. So without further ado, I want to welcome to this podcast Mr. Adrian Lozano from Sarasota, Florida. Welcome.
What's going on, guys? Brent, thank you for having me. Hello, Tribe Rhinos. What's going on? I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you on here. So let's get into this because we've got an incredible. So you have an incredible background. You have an incredible story of really. I mean, when we're talking about starting from like absolute zero, from really pulling yourself up based on your efforts, your skills, your ability, your experiences. Let's go back. Let's turn back the clock a little bit. And why don't you start and tell us the story of how you grew up, where you grew up, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I'm now in Sarasota, Florida, but I grew up in the not so great neighborhood. When people, we have interviews here, and I listen to your podcast, and I hear all these great stories, and it's crazy to hear people from all around that just kind of have flocked to you because of the person that you are, and that's what kind of drew me to you. And my story is like, I was a person, a little Hispanic kid in a bad school going nowhere fast. And, I had these choices that I could make and kind of survive. And what ended up happening, fast forward, is I went to jail. I became a felon, and, everyone was telling me, that's it. You're nothing. You're going to end up dead, going to jail, going back into the system. And, I knew that wasn't for me, and I wasn't, it wasn't my choice to be placed there. But that, unfortunately, that's where I landed. That was my situation. But little by little, reading books and, surrounding myself with different people kind of put me in a different state of mind. And I, again, going fast forward, I became a licensed real estate agent when someone told me that I couldn't, the government was going to let me pass a test. They weren't even going to let me take the test. I became a firefighter. I got my real estate license. We built houses for Lennar Homes. We had big, a contracting business. I mean, I did everything that people told me I couldn't do. And it wasn't to prove them wrong. It was, I knew, yes, I had a past and I have a label, but that label doesn't define me. I'm, as me as a person, I wanted to break barriers and, and show and prove to myself that I can become that person. And, and it just led me to wholesaling, to, being a real estate investor. So yeah, before wholesaling, I was actually flipping houses for quite a while, and I was pulling my hair for, a few deals. And I was just like, I might break even, after a few months. And I'm like looking at everything, and the budget. I was like, oh, okay, there has to be a better way. And, ran into a buddy, he does wholesaling, and the rest is history. And so now I'm here.
You touched on it. You touched on it, Adrian. How important in your life is it the people that you spend the most time with? The people that
Oh,
you surround yourself with?
it's everything. If you hang out with people that are going nowhere, you're gonna go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to grow as a person and you have, oh, you see this nice car and you're like, I want a car like that. Go hang out with a person that has a car like that.
Mm-hmm.
You surround yourself and you're gonna better yourself. And
Yep.
that's it. I mean, it's what it is. You surround yourself. You're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And if you're not doing it, then don't expect to be that person.
So how did you do it? I mean, how did you go from this situation that was toxic and negative to you made the choice that I'm no longer going to do that? I mean, that had to be like extremely difficult. I mean, that's not I mean, a lot of people get caught in that loop, that vicious loop all the time where they take a couple steps out and it's a little bit frightening, so they go back to their comfort zone, even though it's negative, even though it's toxic. How did you keep on the path to where you knew you wanted to hang out with more positive people? You wanted to
Well,
hang out with entrepreneurs?
that's what it is. I mean, it's people that want to go back into the comfort zone. That's what they know. And for when it took only one time to set my mind straight, and I said, no, this is it. And again, I read books, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read when I was 14, 15, and I was just like, okay, that's something I know. I don't want to do that. I don't want to work hard, all the time. I mean, yeah, we're gonna bust ass. We're gonna keep moving forward, but there has to be a system in place, and you're just gonna progress every time. So with that mindset, I mean, I saw friends die. I saw friends go to jail. Stuff was happening around me, and I'm like, that's not. I'm gonna back up. I'm going to go this way. This is a path that I'm going to do. And I started going to church, going to different events, networking events. And at the time, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I had slacks and I didn't have a suit, but I would go out there and just talk to people.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here shaking hands and I'm faking it. I was faking the whole, like kind of like, this is me. And I opened an opportunity where I became a janitor. The guy's like, hey, I'm going to hire you, be a janitor. And he noticed that I had a little bit more talk. I was actually talking to the clients when I was there. They're like, do you want to do sales? Yeah, I'll do sales. And went to sales and I became a regional manager there. And it just it bumped me up and being in the sales world. So, again, and then that's where it progressed. I was like, insurance, agent, firefighter, and it just kept on going. So with that, I met people along the way, and I said, that's a person I want to hang out with. So I'd go and I would talk to them, and I'd ask them questions. And it's funny, you ask a question that people want to talk. They want to talk about themselves. Sit there, listen. You're awesome. Let's be friends. And nowadays, it's kind of hard for someone to approach them and say, I want to be your friend, and be like, yeah, you're a little weird. But that's what I did. I said, hey, I like what you do. You seem like a cool, genuine person. Let's be friends. And from there, it's just like it moved. My life kept going up this yellow brick road, so to speak, and everything kind of, my past stayed my past. Yep. So it's a story, and it's a good story that I help. I've helped kids, the high risk kids, when I go talk to them and tell them that you have a choice. This is not your path because they tell you it's what it is. So
yeah. Well, and I think part of it is you created a community. You know what I mean? You created a community just by going out there, being yourself, being proactive, talking to people, building that community. It's very similar to what in Wholesaling Inc., the Wholesaling Inc. tribe and the wholesaling and the TTP program. I see it and I hear it all the time. We've got people in the TTP program that have really, the rest of their family are rough. They just don't support them. They think that that they're crazy. They get, their friends are like, what, you're doing real estate? Oh, it's going to crash, all this negativity, all this. And then they come into our group, right? Into either the Facebook or this podcast or meetups or whatever it is. And all of a sudden they can connect with like-minded people, and it's so powerful. I remember when I joined the Rhino Tribe, and listen, your story is amazing. This doesn't even have 1% of the heart that your story has. But I remember when I joined the Wholesaling Inc. program, instantly, within an instant, I was part of a community that was like so on top. Everybody was on fire and pulling in the same direction. And all of a sudden you have cheerleaders. All of a sudden you have support. All of a sudden you're talking to people that know what the hell you're talking about, right? And it's just so incredible. I think that's one of the biggest things when it comes to either a mentorship or a coaching program. Not that this is a sales pitch, but it's just an absolute fact. I mean, once you get into that, once you invest in yourself into that, now you're part of that. You're instantly part of the community, and I think that's a huge thing.
And it's crazy. I mean, you're talking about that, but it's crazy how, again, you go back into a comfort zone. People that, when I signed up with you, I know real estate. I mean, I know how to pull comps. I know how to sell. I know, bandits. It's all there. It's all on the internet, and you can get it. But it's what you said. It's like, once I joined and I talked to you and I joined the Facebook group, and I was there, and I was like, it was like a bright light.
Yeah.
Everyone, and again, just like you said, there's some people that just, they knock you, they make fun of you. You're like, you're an outsider. So you either want to scale back so you can be comfortable so they can like you, or you can push forward, and then you're going to meet those people. And in the group, I think, when I go on there, I love just going on there just to see everyone's like action of the plan for the day and what they're doing, and we're just like high-fiving each other. And it's a great group. So I mean, I don't regret one bit of it, and I'm just going to keep moving forward. TTP all the way. I love it.
Well, and this is a crazy story because we talked about it before the podcast started, but you have a crazy story of what brought you back, because you were doing some home building. You then went to real estate, being a traditional agent and an insurance agent, then a firefighter. So you're a firefighter, and then something really life-changing happened that got you back into real estate. So tell us that story.
So I was a firefighter, and a little boy's dream, driving an engine, putting wet stuff on the hot stuff, saving people. I met a buddy there at the fire department, and we opened up a gym, and we did extreme boot camps and whatnot. And Florida is flat. Florida, there is no mountains, man-made hills, and actually that's where I was teaching a class, was on a man-made hill east of the city, and it was during hurricane season, and there were storms. There was storms coming in and out. It rained 15 minutes, it'd stop, and then bigger storms coming in. And I was teaching a class, and I had my students doing sit-ups, and it was almost, the class was almost over, but we could see a storm miles away. You could see the lightning. And for those that don't know, lightning travels. It doesn't have to stay with the storm. It goes where it wants to go. And a couple of the students were telling me, like, we should probably be done and get out of here. And I said, yeah, we're gonna be done. And I made a joke, and I said, if anyone's gonna get struck, it'll be me, because I'm the highest point right now. I'm the one standing, and they're the ones doing the sit-ups. And sure enough, seconds later, it feels like lightning struck. It was an indirect hit. I got hit, went to the ground, and it went to the hospital. I'm okay. Now I'm okay. But the doctor told me, you need to stop anything physical. That meant couldn't be a firefighter. I had to sit back. Couldn't do any gym workouts or train. I elevated my heart rate. I had an irregular heart rhythm at the time. So I was stuck. I didn't know what to do, and I was gonna go back into doing insurance. And one of my buddies that actually worked at the gym was a real estate investor, and he's like, he knew my story. He's like, you did real estate before, you built, comps, you know insurance, you know, so you know everything. Let's get you into, you know, flipping homes. And I said, why not? Like, I'm going to do it. All my friends were like, you're going to flip homes. You have no money. You know, you're starting at zero and you have no experience at flipping homes. So yeah, but I know a little bit about everything. And that's what got me in. And then from there, the rest is history, you know, just went going. A few years ago, started doing the mailers. You know, mailers works for a lot of people, and as long as you're doing it, I got stomped, and it was pretty bad. We threw a lot of money, and you know, again, I'm from Houston, and we got hit hard, and I just backed up, and I'm like, that's not my style. You know, I like talking to people. Yeah. I like doing this, and you know, and it led me to you.
Yeah.
No, but
well,
that's what.
First of all, that is the craziest coming back and discovering wholesaling story of all time. I'm telling you, that is the craziest story. You get struck by lightning. The doctor tells you can't do anything physical, so that and then your buddy's like, "Hey, why don't you be a real estate investor?" And you're like, "Yeah, all right." Right? And then from there, but then from there, you've been building a successful business. So tell us about your business now. Tell us about like how it's going. Are you Are you doing deals? How are those deals going? Like, let's talk about it.
All right. So when I signed up, I think it was either late November, early December last year. Yep. I was still working on one of the homes that I had purchased in Houston, which became a nightmare house. I had to raise the house 7.5 feet, you know, to be with compliance with FEMA, because unless I didn't do that, I couldn't even touch the house. So dealt with that, and it's taken me about a year. This is my problem property, and this is one of the reasons why I quit flipping as soon as I'm done with this one. But I joined the tribe, and I was like gung ho, let's do this. I'm paralysis by analysis a little bit.
Sure.
Dealing with a property in Houston. I put it on pause, and then I think I spoke with you when I got back from vacation. I was done with the Houston property, took a little vacation, came back, and I got on it. You know, just did everything that you said. Was on the phone for 4 hours. Landed, I believe it was 3 appointments. Got one contract, and I sold it within that week. Put some bandit signs up, sold it within the week, and made just under $12,000.
Hold on 1 second. Well, yes. Hold on 1 second. We're gonna get to the bell, but first of all, so 4 hours and you made $12,000.
Yeah.
So you get paid $3,000 an hour to talk to people.
Pretty much.
Oh, well, that is it.
Love it.
Incredible. I absolutely love it. So you got that done. You found the deal. What was break down the deal for us? So let's go on the 4 pillars, right? The condition of the property, their timeline, their motivation, their price.
The condition was horrible. The landlord pretty much told me, you know, he knows it needs work. He's like, I'm not going to tell you the problems it has. I'm going to tell you what's good about the house. And that did it right there. And I started laughing. I said, listen, I don't feel bad about telling me about the house because I've been in some bad homes. And I kind of gave him the rundown of what I do and whatnot. And he was like, well, great. You know, let me try to set you up, you know, a time with a tenant. It was a tenant problem as well. So it was bad situation with the house. It was pretty much falling apart.
Yep.
The tenant he was done paying, and it was a double sword for him because, you know, it was a problem house, it was a problem tenant, but the tenant just didn't want to pay anymore, you know, because the house was falling apart.
Right. So
it was done.
Yep.
So the motivation was there. And on top of that, he had a hard money loan. Ooh. So this is an investor buy and hold and hard money loan, and the taxes were due. So the hard money lender paid the taxes and was already foreclosing on the house. Mm-hmm. So he was, I just want to get done with it. Let's do this. Send me an offer. So he started around 80,000 on the house. I told him, I couldn't pay that. I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not looking to pay that much in a neighborhood like that. I know the neighborhood. And he's like, okay, just go by there. Went there, was on the phone, and did a drive by of the neighborhood as I was on the phone with him. And he's like, work with me, give me 70,000. I said, I don't think I can do that. Walked inside the house. And as I was walking out, I said, I will give you $30,000. And he laughed it off, and he said, I can't do that. I'll call you back. Calls me back. He says, I owe 36,000 on it. Give me 60. I couldn't do it. I said, I'll give you 40. Hung up. Calls me back a few minutes later. Do 50, and we got a deal. So I know the neighborhood, and rehab homes are going about 125, 130. And I said it needs 25, 30 into it. So had a couple people that I knew that would purchase it, and I locked it up and put the band. I actually talked to you, and I showed you the signs.
Yeah.
Put the signs up at night. Got a few calls. I sent out my text blast, and I had people lined up. And then I think it was the next day or 2 days afterwards, we went there. I took a couple guys and locked it up, and that was it.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it was pretty good. The guy, I gave him an out. I gave him a solution to his problem.
Yep.
So he was really excited, and he put some money in his pocket as well. And actually, that led to a deal that I'm working with now. Same guy, different property up in Spring Hill. So doing that, and we're working that out with the problem tenant as well. So we'll see. I'll probably make about $20,000 off that one.
I love it. So not only did you make 12, you can make an additional 20 from the same seller that you called for 4 hours.
Yeah.
What list were you calling to call that guy?
And that was the absentee owners list.
Absentee owners.
So it was high equity absentee.
Got it. And just for everybody out there that a hard money loan is basically a private loan with a really high interest rate. So it really starts. Correct. I mean, even though it's 36,000, the interest will chew you up monthly. So it is a huge motivating factor. He went through it. He said the condition of the property was totally beat up. Obviously, the landlord wasn't taking care of it. The tenant wasn't going to take it upon himself to take care of it. The timeline was like now. How fast did you close it?
We closed within, I think it was under 3 weeks.
Under 3 weeks.
Got it done.
Yeah, beautiful. So you were able to get the tenant out of there, right? Or did you do a post-possession of some sort? Yeah, okay. So the tenant got out, thankfully. Yeah, so the tenant got out, which is great. You got paid 21 days later. The owner got his money because people will trade equity for speed and convenience. They will.
Yep.
And you made it smooth for him. He got it done. And now, not only did you do a great job, you did such a great job that he's going back to the well and asking you to do it again for another property, which is just absolutely incredible.
And the beauty of it is I'm very transparent. I don't, I tell everyone what's going on, even to the tenant when we did the walkthrough, and he was like, I thought you were buying it. I said, well, I have a group of investors.
Yep.
I'm giving them the option to purchase the property before I rehab it.
Yep.
And the owner as well, he knew what was going on. He said, I know you're going to make money. Mm-hmm. I don't want to list the property.
Yep.
Another thing, he was going through a divorce. So, he just was hit one after the other. And he said, I know you're making money. I know what you do. Mm-hmm. So I really don't want to list these properties, and I don't want to go through the hassle of going through the inspections, going through this. I know what I'm going to deal with. So if you can make this happen fast, make whatever you're going to make. So
incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, people are shocked every day on some of these deals that we do, right? I mean, people are just like, wait, you bought that house for how much? And how did you get a hold of them? Wait, you just called them out of the blue and you got that property and you made $12,000? Yes. It's a simple formula. Talk to people.
It works. It works.
Yeah.
Just keep talking to people, and which actually brings me before I knew TTP, I had TTP still going, just didn't know
Of
it was
course.
TTP. So when I was doing flipping, I actually networked with a lot of real estate agents. I told them what I did. I said, hey, if you have cash buyers, I can sell you a house depending on the stage that your buyer wants to get, all the way up to retail before it's even hits market. So I created this big network, and people, there's a lot of wholesalers that say, they don't want to deal with real estate agents,
Right.
and they can be your best friend.
Oh.
They can feed you that, and you're not going to believe that, they're happy earning that 3%. They don't know
Oh
any
yeah.
better, and they're going to keep giving it to you. So I actually had a good communication with this lady that she did high-end houses. She just that's her money, and more power to her. But she didn't like dealing with just rundown homes and whatnot. She called me up. She said, Adrian, I know this is right up your alley. Please take this off of my hands. I don't want to list it. And I said, okay, I'm going to go over there right now. Drove over there, took a look at it, offered her, I believe it was 120, 125, and we locked it up. And she said, thank you. I know you're going to close on it. I don't need anything. I don't even need proof of funds.
Yep.
I'm letting the lady know you have your attorney. And 2 days later, we sold it for, I believe, it was 179 after. So
That's what I'm
we
saying. Yeah, talking to people
that
is not just sellers. It is real estate agents. It's hard money lenders. It's title companies. It's everybody. You know what I mean? My company's easily made over $500,000 from agent referrals. Easily. I mean, it's just being out there, being proactive, and using your voice, talents, and skills, and being reliable. I mean, that's really it, and it's incredible. So speak now to, as we wrap this up, speak now to somebody starting out in this business, somebody that maybe they weren't struck by lightning and had a life-changing moment, but maybe they've discovered wholesaling somehow. Like, give them some advice on how to get started and how to be successful.
Know the basics of wholesaling. And I mean, there's people that teach you and then go